What if I told you the Great Flood wasn't just about rain, but a divine war to wipe out a bloodline of monsters that threatened to devour humanity? The Bible whispers of fallen angels who abandoned their heavenly posts for forbidden lust, birthing the terrifying Nephilim, giants with insatiable appetites who turned God's creation into a slaughterhouse. These weren't myths. They were a nightmare reality that forced God to make the ultimate decision to reboot the world. But are they truly gone, or does their dark legacy still haunt us today? We are peeling back the layers of ancient Aramaic scrolls to reveal the shocking truth about Archangel Michael's secret mission and the chains of darkness holding these entities awaiting judgment. This is the story the history books gloss over, a saga of rebellion, mutation, and divine wrath that changes everything you think you know about Genesis. Welcome to Bible and Prophecy, where we decode the mysteries of Scripture. Before we unleash these ancient secrets, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it with fellow truth seekers to help us spread the light. Now, brace yourself, because the truth is stranger than fiction. The Bible tells us that Archangel Michael locked up the fallen angels, but ancient Aramaic scrolls reveal a much darker and more terrifying truth, suggesting that he didn't just imprison them, but actually used their own profound evil to punish them eternally in a dimension where time never ends and your worst sins hunt you relentlessly. Imagine a prison created by Michael and allowed by God, a place so horrific that the human mind can barely comprehend it. But what if those angels found a way to escape, unleashing consequences that would be unimaginable for our world today? This story goes far deeper than most realize, containing hidden reasons that completely change everything we thought we knew about angels, divine punishment, and God's ultimate plan for humanity. Welcome to Bible and Prophecy, the channel where we dig deep into the ancient mysteries to uncover the truth. So before we reveal the shocking secrets of the Nephilim and the Great Flood, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it with your friends and family to help us spread these powerful messages. Now, let's uncover the shocking truth together by picturing a time when angels walked among us. And we are not talking about just any angels, but powerful beings known as the Watchers who were entrusted with the sacred duty to guard and guide humanity. Yet something unexpected happened that would change the course of history forever. You see, these angels had one specific job to watch over humans, but they got distracted, fatally distracted, because they couldn't help but notice how beautiful human women were. And while this wasn't part of God's plan at all, the idea of angels falling in love with humans became a transgression that shook the heavens. These angels didn't just admire from afar. They made a choice that defied the Creator, leaving their heavenly posts to come down to earth and follow their hearts, a scene so dramatic that one can only imagine the shock of seeing mighty angels giving up their celestial glory for forbidden earthly love. You might ask why God didn't stop this immediately, and that is the interesting part, because God watched as these events unfolded, knowing that something bigger was at play, for these forbidden relationships weren't just about breaking rules, they were about to create something absolutely terrifying known as the Nephilim. When angels and humans had children together, these weren't normal babies, they were giants, and when I say giants, I mean colossal beings that grew super fast, towering over everyone else. But their massive size wasn't the scariest part, it was their insatiable appetite. These Nephilim were always hungry, consumed by a starvation that could never be satisfied. And while normal food was enough at first, they soon wanted more and more until it got so bad that they started eating everything in sight, causing crops to disappear and animals to vanish until they finally turned to humans for food. People lived in absolute fear, and imagine the terror of trying to protect your family from these enormous beings who looked at you not as a neighbor but as their next meal, causing humanity to suffer as things got worse by the day. The Nephilim's hunger seemed endless, and their power grew stronger, turning this situation from a problem into a complete disaster where the very existence of these giants threatened to wipe out all life on Earth, turning the beautiful world God had created into a living nightmare, all because of one forbidden choice made by angels who should have known better. The sight of these massive beings roaming the earth and destroying everything in their path was just the beginning. And though nobody knew it yet, this situation would lead to one of the biggest events in human history, forcing God to make a decision that would change our world forever. But before we proceed to the divine intervention, let's take a moment to remember the protector of the faithful. So please comment down below, Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle, and let his strength be our protection against the wickedness of the devil. As the Nephilim's hunger grew stronger each day, Earth turned into a nightmare where villages that were once full of life became ghost towns overnight, and where you might see a thriving community one day and nothing but empty houses and broken dreams the next. The Nephilim didn't just take food, they destroyed whole communities without leaving a trace, and yet food wasn't enough for these giants because they started demanding that humans worship them like gods, commanding people to bow down or face the destruction of their homes and families. People faced an impossible choice between serving these monsters or watching everything they loved get destroyed. But some brave souls stood their ground, refusing to bow to false gods, and in secret they would look up at the sky with tears streaming down their faces, begging God to save them, whispering in the dark, "Please, don't let us die like this." For a long time, day after day, their prayers seemed to float into empty air with no answer coming. And as the giants kept growing stronger, people started wondering if God had turned his back on them, asking how he could let his creation suffer like this. Things got so bad that humans started running out of places to hide, with the Nephilim finding them everywhere, in caves, in forests, and even in the mountains, so no place was safe anymore. And it looked like the end was coming for everyone. But just when all hope seemed lost, something changed, because those prayers weren't falling on deaf ears after all. God had been listening the whole time, seeing his people suffer, and watching as these giants, these children of rebellious angels, turned his beautiful world into a place of fear and death. God decided enough was enough, and he wasn't going to sit back and watch anymore. He was about to step in, and when he did, the whole world would feel it, teaching the Nephilim, who thought they were powerful, what real power actually looked like. A plan was forming in heaven, a plan that would change everything, and while the giants had no idea what was coming, they would soon learn that their reign of terror was about to end. In heaven's grand halls, a meeting like no other was taking place, where God had called his most trusted archangels together, because the situation on earth had gotten so bad that even heaven couldn't ignore it anymore. The archangels gathered around, each one burning with ideas about how to fix this mess, and Michael the warrior angel stepped forward first, his voice booming through the halls as he suggested sending him down with heaven's army to destroy these giants before they could eat another human. But Gabriel wasn't so sure, speaking softly but firmly to remind everyone that the Nephilim were still part angel and that the humans needed hope, not more violence, suggesting they might save some of them, which made everyone think twice. Then Uriel came up with an interesting idea to test the humans first to see who was still good at heart, saving the worthy ones and letting the rest face their fate, a suggestion that hung in the air as the others considered it. Raphael, always the healer, shook his head, pointing out that the earth itself was suffering because the giants had poisoned the land and water, arguing that they needed to heal the Father's creation first. God listened to each one carefully, seeing truth in all their words, and that's when he did something unexpected. Instead of picking just one plan, he decided to use them all, announcing that each archangel would have a special job. Michael would lead the fight, Gabriel would bring hope, Uriel would find the worthy, and Raphael would heal the destruction. The archangels stood ready with their missions clear, but there was still one piece missing in God's plan, for they needed someone on earth, someone human to help them carry out this divine mission, leading them to wonder who among the humans was still pure enough and strong enough to help them save the world. God smiled because he already knew the answer, for he had been watching one man and his family very carefully, observing a heart that beat with a different rhythm than the rest of the corrupt world. This man was exactly who heaven needed for the biggest rescue mission in human history, standing as a lone beacon of light in a world where evil seemed to win everywhere and darkness had swallowed the souls of men. God searched for someone, anyone who still followed the right path. But it wasn't easy because most humans had either joined the Nephilim in their wickedness or were too paralyzed by fear to stand up to them. Yet amidst this chaos, God found Noah. Noah wasn't like the others, for while people around him fought for survival or gave in to the giants' demanding tyranny, he kept his faith strong, waking every morning to talk to God and spending every evening teaching his family about doing what's right in a world gone wrong. But here is the thing that makes this story so relatable. Noah wasn't perfect. He made mistakes just like everyone else. He had doubts and fears, but the reason God picked him wasn't because he never did anything wrong, but because when he did mess up, he would admit it with a humble heart and try to do better. And that humility was what made him special in God's eyes. One day, God gave Noah some instructions that sounded absolutely insane to the human ear. Build a massive boat, an ark, and make it big enough for your entire family and a pair of every animal on earth. Now, imagine the scene of telling your neighbors you are building a Titanic-sized vessel when there isn't even a lake nearby and rain is a foreign concept. Naturally, people thought Noah had completely lost his mind, walking by his construction site to point and laugh, mocking him with cruel words like, "Look at crazy old Noah building a boat in the middle of nowhere." Some days were harder than others, and under the scorching sun with blisters on his hands, Noah probably wondered if he was actually doing the right thing. But he kept building, hammer by hammer, plank by plank, driven by a faith that saw what others could not. While Noah worked tirelessly on the wooden frame, the archangels were busy too in the spiritual realm. Michael gathered animals from far and wide, guiding lions and lambs alike. Gabriel spread whispers of warning to anyone who would listen, hoping to save a few more souls. Uriel watched vigilantly for any other righteous hearts, and Raphael prepared healing herbs for the long journey ahead. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, and as Noah's hands got calloused and his back grew sore, his faith never wavered once. When people mocked him, he kept working. When the Nephilim threatened him with their towering presence, he kept building. Even when his own distant relatives called him crazy, he trusted God's plan completely. The ark slowly took shape, growing bigger than anything anyone had ever seen, rising like a wooden mountain from the dry ground, a testament to Noah's dedication, which proved God had chosen well. For this wasn't just about building a boat. It was about trusting God even when things seemed scientifically impossible. But the hardest part was still coming. For soon, Noah would have to face something no human had ever seen before. And the question wasn't just if he could build the ark anymore, but if he could handle the cataclysm that would happen next. The sky turned dark as clouds gathered like bruised iron, heavier than ever before, and then it started. Rain poured down harder than anyone had ever seen, but this wasn't just rain. It was a cosmic weeping, and the ground cracked open too, shooting water up from deep underground as the fountains of the deep burst forth. The world was about to change forever, and at first the Nephilim laughed, arrogant in their strength because they were giants after all, thinking what harm could a little water do. But as the water kept rising past their ankles, then their knees, their laughter turned to absolute fear, and for the first time ever, these mighty beings realized they weren't so mighty after all against the wrath of the Creator. Noah and his family watched from the safety of the ark as the water covered everything. Houses disappeared, trees vanished, and even the highest mountains started going under, drowning the world they knew literally before their eyes. Meanwhile, in the spiritual realm, the archangels faced a tough choice about the fallen angels, the ones who started this whole mess by having children with humans. These angels were still their brothers, even if they had broken heaven's rules, leading to a debate on whether they should destroy them completely or find another way. After much heavy deliberation, they decided not to kill their fallen brothers, but instead bound them with powerful chains, locking them away in a dark abyss where they couldn't cause more trouble, a choice that wasn't easy because these angels had caused so much pain, but sometimes mercy is harder and more complex than punishment. The rain kept falling relentlessly for 40 days and 40 nights. The flood waters rose higher and higher, until even the tallest Nephilim couldn't keep their heads above water. And one by one, these giants who had terrorized humanity disappeared beneath the waves, silencing their roar forever. When the waters finally started going down, the world looked completely different. The ark landed on top of a mountain, and slowly the water pulled back. But the earth wasn't the same anymore, for the flood had changed the geography, the land, the rivers, and even the mountains looked different. Yes, the world was clean now, and the Nephilim were gone, but this cleansing came at a huge price, with so many lives lost and so much history destroyed. As Noah and his family stepped onto dry land again, they faced the huge task of starting over in this new, silent world, realizing God had given humanity a second chance. But the question hung in the air: would they do better this time? And would they remember what happened to the world before the flood? Only time would tell if humans had learned their lesson as the rain clouds finally cleared away, showing a bright sky that no one had seen for months. Noah, his family, and all the animals stepped onto dry ground, but the world felt strange and empty, like someone had erased everything they used to know, leaving only the smell of wet mud and emptiness stretching as far as they could see. That is when something amazing happened. God spoke to Noah again, but this time with a promise that would change everything, saying, "I'm making a special agreement not just with you, but with every living thing on earth." God pointed to something beautiful in the sky, a rainbow whose colors stretched across the heavens like a giant bridge, saying, "See this rainbow? Every time you see one, remember my promise. I will never flood the whole earth again. This is my gift to you and every generation after you."
Thank you, Father.
But this new start came with rules. God told humans to spread across the earth, to have families, to take care of the animals and plants, and to be good caretakers of this world, making it better than before. The archangels got new jobs too. Michael became humanity's protector against evil. Gabriel kept bringing God's messages. Uriel helped guide humans toward wisdom, while Raphael continued healing both people and nature. This wasn't just about starting over. It was about doing things better this time, because God had bigger plans than anyone realized. He wanted humans to build, create, and grow, filling the earth with good things instead of the terror that the Nephilim had spread. Noah's family began planting crops and building homes, and day by day they started making this empty world feel alive again, fueled by God's rainbow promise, which gave them hope that they could create something beautiful from all this emptiness. But as they worked to rebuild, a question still hung in the air. Would humans remember God's promise through the ages? Or would they forget and make the same mistakes that led to the flood in the first place? Years passed, and the terrifying reality of the Nephilim faded into folklore, becoming scary stories to keep children behaving. Yet some wondered if these legends held a dark truth, because the earth began to reveal secrets that refused to stay buried. Farmers digging in their fields struck massive bones that no known animal possessed, while explorers stumbled upon ancient cave paintings depicting figures towering over helpless humans, and strange artifacts surfaced. weapons too heavy for any mortal man to lift, hinting at a lost age of power that perhaps should have remained forgotten. On dark nights, whispers in forgotten tongues seemed to ride the wind, and as scholars collected these cursed relics, the archangels watched closely from the shadows, often intervening to hide the most dangerous secrets, because they remembered too well what happened the last time humans touched powers they couldn't control. But even with their vigilance, the Nephilim's dark legacy had left deep scars on the world, opening doors that were better left closed and setting the stage for a new, unexpected battle between good and evil, where the echoes of the past threatened to return. Speaking of battles against ancient darkness, did you know there is one angel who has fought more than any other to keep us safe? Archangel Michael didn't just stop at the flood. His war against evil spans eternity, from wrestling powerful demons to facing Satan himself, and his true adventures are far more intense than what is taught in Sunday school. We have uncovered the full, untold story of the Prince of Angels in our next video, revealing secrets that will change how you see the spiritual realm. Click the video on your screen right now to discover why Michael is known as Heaven's greatest warrior and how he is still protecting us today. Trust me, you do not want to miss this epic tale.